What is up, YouTube? This is Alex here from Team Generations, back again with a super exciting deck profile. I'm so excited to bring this to you guys. This is for my favorite clan, Narukami. This is an updated Eradicators list. This is basically incorporating a lot of the support that we received out of Divine Lighting Radiance, the new set for Narukami. I feel like this deck definitely got the buff that it kind of needed to hang with a couple of the big boys. I'm going to show you some of the finer points and I think misconceptions about this deck and the playstyle. This is definitely a control deck, like a mid-range deck. I think a lot of people spam it as like some kind of crazy aggro deck. Definitely not the playstyle we're always looking to go into. Definitely possible with this deck, but hopefully I can cover some things that kind of help you improve your game and some of your match results. So without further ado, let's hop right into the video and get to that. Before we begin, I just wanted to give a huge shout out to everybody who has subscribed so far. Finally reached 100 subs. I really appreciate that. Thank you guys so much. I see every comment, see every like that you guys leave. So yeah, really appreciate that. If you haven't subscribed already, please consider hitting that button and possibly leaving a like on this video. It really helps us out, lets us know that you enjoy this content. If you learn anything in this deck profile, that is definitely appreciated. So without further ado, let's jump right in. Alright, starting off with our grade 3 units, we are still running 4 of the boss man himself. This is Eradicator Gauntlet Buster Dragon. Its skill on Vanguard Circle is during our turn, this unit gets an additional 5,000 plus an extra crit for each one of our opponent's open rearguard front row circles. And its skill on Vanguard Circle is Counterblast 1, discard a card from our hands and bind all of your opponent's rearguards in their front row. And then we get to choose to move up the opponent's back row rearguards to that front row if we want to. Super effective for wiping entire fields. I know there's a lot of cards now that kind of spam the field. You get a ton of units out kind of at whatever cost to them, but having the ability to just wipe their field for not a huge cost on our end is very effective still. I definitely like it, and its first skill really enables you to play this really slower pace, maybe control style. If you are swinging with just Gauntlet Buster and you're basically telling your opponent, hey look, you're either gonna risk taking these 3 damage and me possibly hitting a crit, or I'm gonna sit here and just kind of grind this game out. And against a lot of decks that rely on Counterblast a ton, this is a very effective strategy. I think people need to maybe take a step back sometimes and really just know that this is kind of the mindset to go with, and just look, we're gonna grind the game out in a way. So a couple cards in this deck in order to kind of help us do that, and I'll go over that in just a second. Just want to point out too that obviously this does have that Eradicator name. That does matter for a couple other cards we're going to be going over in just a second. So our next guy up, as you can probably guess, these are the only grade 3s that we are running in the deck. This is 4 of Eradicator Dragonic Descendant. So super nice card they brought into Standard. This is nice because I feel like it's kind of timeless. If later on we get like a new Eradicator boss, this card can still be incorporated in that deck, so it can make it pretty effective just overall in terms of longevity. This guy's skill is when you would ride this card. If your Vanguard is a unit with Eradicator in its card name, this card displays with all of their abilities until the end of turn, so it basically becomes into a like a pseudo Gauntlet Buster, so you can still maintain that control playstyle plus a couple additional perks. Its second skill is act on Van or Rearguard Circle. Once per turn, we get the Soul Blast 1. Choose one of our opponent's front row rearguards and bind it. Your opponent chooses one of his or her back row rearguards and moves it to an open rearguard circle in their front row. So super nice to kind of drag those up and maybe use Gauntlet Buster skill then thereafter. This is nice that this is like a Soul Blast too, so you're not digging into your Counterblast necessarily, because that is pretty important for the next skill that is up. Its third skill and final skill is Auto on Vanguard Circle. Once per turn, when this attack does not hit, we get to Counterblast 1 and discard a card from our hand and restand this unit. Gets -1 drive until the end of turn. So this is important for 2 different reasons. First off, if you rode Gauntlet Buster Dragon, you're basically saying, hey look, I'm going to swing at you with 3 crits, at least 3 crits, like twice. If you rode on top of Descendant, you get to kind of pull like an Overlord the Cross kind of deal where you swing 3 times. So you're going to take the original Descendant skill, you're going to ride, you're able to swing, stand itself with its own skill, and then swing for a 3rd time, and basically restand it with no drive checks then. So super effective card, a little bit versatile in terms of if you want to just get off like a multi-attack, pressure a little bit more, or if you want to ride into that Gauntlet Buster first. I typically think that's the way to go, but it's not the worst thing in the world. If you need to ride this over itself over and over, that definitely is an option as well. So again, this basically takes that whole control playstyle to a new level, because we are able to basically sit there and say, hey look, you have 2 opportunities, you have to guard this out twice. And sometimes, you know, if it's an Excel deck, which is very popular these days, you know, they have you know, two extra Excel circles, you're looking at an additional 20,000, a 32k attack unboosted. Boosted, and we're looking at way more. So I think this is definitely an effective card, and if you take it as a more control mid-range kind of idea and mindset, I think you can be very, very effective with what you can do with this deck. So then moving into our grade 2s, I think consistency is really key in this deck. As a control deck, you need to just be as consistent as possible. Just have your game plan kind of go and roll out every single game. As such, we are running 4 of this guy. This is Eradicator Spark Raised Dragon. Its skill on Vanguard Circle is when placed, this unit gets an additional 5,000 until the end of turn. And then we get to look at the top 5 cards of our deck and reveal up to 1 card with Eradicator in its card name from among them and put them into our hands. If we put a card, we get to discard a card from our hand. So this is cool because it doesn't say like a grade 3 or anything. If we're running short on maybe some boosters or whatever, we can actually grab a grade 1 Eradicator there. If you're looking for like maybe another grade 2 support card, we can definitely grab that. Or if you're looking for that final grade 3 you might need, this is definitely effective for that too. So I really like that plus 5,000 too. Just makes it a little bit harder. You can't just drop a quick shield to guard this guy. Definitely a nice card overall, and it doesn't cost a counterblast, so we really want to save our counterblast for our Vanguards and really get their skills off. There's another card in here too we might need a counterblast for too, so I'll go over that in just a second. But its second skill kind of helps with the first on Van or Rear. When its attack hits a Vanguard, we get to Soul Blast 1 and draw a card. So either on Rear or Van. On Van, it basically helps us replenish that search. It's very hard to miss this guy's search ability. We run a lot of Eradicators in here, as you're going to see in just a second. Also on Rearguard Circle, you're just again applying pressure. Like if you want to just make sure you maintain your hand advantage and your opponent, you know, doesn't want to give you that, you get to just Soul Blast 1 and yeah, you get to draw a card if they don't block it. So I think card advantage, thinning your deck out, is deck winning. So definitely a nice card. I think that was very well designed overall. Next up, we are actually running 4 of these guys. So this is Lightning Whip Eradicator Sohel. How do you say it again? Suhel? Yeah, Suhel, sorry. Its skill on Rearguard Circle. If it's on additional Rearguard Circle, aka an Excel marker, this unit gets an additional 5,000. So again, nice little power buff there. Its other skill on Van or Rearguard Circle, when placed, if we have a Vanguard with Eradicator in its card name, we can discard a card from our hand, choose one of our opponent's front row Rearguards, bind it, and we get to draw a card. So if your opponent doesn't let you hit with the Spark Raised Dragon, this guy helps us also kind of draw another card, which is really nice. This card also, I know it does have that discard, but we are running a grade 1 in here that kind of helps with that. I'll show you in just a second. And it fulfills its own requirement in that you need an Eradicator on your Vanguard Circle if you're forced to ride this. So not a bad card overall, and again, it helps us bind, gets that front row clear, and it doesn't cost a counterblast. Again, pretty crucial because we need our counterblast for other cards I think that are just a bit more effective in this deck for really facilitating our overall main strategy. So yeah, 4 of those guys. Moving on, so we start to get into some techie different options here. I'm going to explain all of them, obviously. But moving on, we are looking at 2 of Supreme Army Eradicator Zuitan. Now, I know Zuitan was a super essential card previously, and I still think it is a very, very good card. It helps you buff up your Vanguard with its, what was it, the first skill? Yeah, on Rearguard Circle. When your opponent's Rearguard is bound during your turn, this unit and one of your Eradicator Gauntlet Buster Dragons on Van and Rear get an additional 5,000 until the end of turn. So, super nice for, let's say, you know, you bind a front row of 4 different units, you know, you're facing a very prominent Excel clan, and you do that, you're going to get an additional 20,000 on top of the 20,000 that you just got for Gauntlet Buster's inherent skill. So it makes it super, super powerful. I really like this card for that. Its second skill, at the end of battle it attacked. If our attacked a Vanguard, sorry, if your opponent's front row has no rear guards, we get to put this unit into our soul and draw a card. So super nice for that draw power. Again, deck thinning is deck winning, and there's a couple cards in here like our Vanguard, like our Raised Dragon that basically use Soul Blast. So sometimes if you have multiple of those grade 2 Raised Dragons out on the field, you know, you're swinging at them, you're hitting them, whatever. If you're Soul Blasting a lot, I feel like this guy definitely helps replenish it. This isn't like an absolute needed card to win. I feel like this is almost like a win more or like a super push card, because our Dragonic Descendant does not inherit the name necessarily, so you can't use him really with that. So that's why I didn't want to max it at 4, just didn't quite fit as well as it used to, but still an effective card. I think it does deserve a spot in the deck, so I am running it at a 2 of. Moving on to another oldie but goldie, this is Fiendish Sword Eradicator Cho-Oh. So this guy is limited to 2 in standard as of the recording of this video. Its skill on Vanguard rearguard circle is when placed, we get to counterblast 1, choose a column, and bind one of our opponent's front row rearguards in that column. And we get to choose to move up the back row rearguard that might have been in that column as well to the front row, so becoming a little bit more front row fodder for us. This is nice because I think the wording allows us to choose the column and not the unit, so I think this gets around Sweeper, Agricanto, because I know Anger Blader's back to 4, so super nice for that. Its other skill on rearguard circle is once per turn at the end of battle that our Vanguard attacked. If your opponent's front row has no rearguards, we get to counterblast 1 and stand this unit. So very, very nice in order to multi-attack. We are not playing Vanquisher, obviously, like I said. We are kind of starved for multi-attacks outside of our Vanguard attacking, so this guy definitely helps us with this. Just helps apply overall pressure. I like the card. I'm going to max it out at 2, and it still shares that Eradicator name, so definitely searchable. For our last grade 2 slot, I'm actually running one of these guys. I know, kind of a controversial card, just hear me out on this. So its skill on this is Eradicator Plasma Catapult Dragon, sorry. On skill, act on Van or Rearguard Circle is once per turn. We can counterblast 1, Soul Blast 1, choose one of your opponent's front row rearguards, bind it, and our opponent chooses one of his or her back row rearguards and moves it to an open front row rearguard circle. And if this unit is on Vanguard Circle, we get to draw a card. So this is honestly an interesting card in a couple different ways. So first off, it kind of is like a Berserk Dragon that we just got really, really late in the game. I know it's obviously not the most effective skill right now, but 1, it has that Eradicator name. 2, if you have to ride this card from a Draconic Descendant, like if you have no other choice, you don't have a Gauntlet Buster in your hand, whatever the deal might be, you still inherit a skill that works on Vanguard Circle. And this is nice because if you read this, it says your opponent chooses one of his or her back row rearguards, moves it to an open front row rearguard circle. That didn't say in the same column. So if your opponent's kind of hiding a card right behind your up behind their Vanguard or whatever, this I believe can move diagonally, unless I'm mistaken. Call me out totally if I am wrong, but I'm not seeing in the same column, so that's what I assume it's kind of meant. Yeah, so I think it's an interesting card. I think it's fine at a 1 of. You can flex this out if you don't want to. There's a couple of different options you can kind of slot in as well, so yeah, I'm just running that at a 1 of. Moving on to our grade 1s then. So I think, like I said, consistency is really, really key in this deck, and as such, you're going to see all of our grade 1s kind of deal with consistency and resource kind of management in a way. So this is Isolation Eradicator Nazca. Its skill on Van or Rearguard Circle is when placed. We get to look at the top 5 cards from our deck, reveal up to 1 card with Eradicator in its card name. From among them, put it into our hand, and if we put a card, we discard a card. So this is cool because it's kind of like the grade 3 searcher, except you can choose any Eradicator. So if you're really looking for a grade 2, if you're looking for just something in particular that you don't have in your hand, you can kind of cherry pick what you need with this card. So I think that's honestly super, super nice. It's a very useful skill, and it helps us just kind of control where we are in the game and what resources we really want to be getting. And I know there is a discard cost associated with it, but there is a card in here a little bit later I'll show you that we are running to kind of mitigate this. We almost want to discard it in a way, so I'll show you that. But yeah, 4 of her. Moving on then, this is honestly super nice that they reprinted it. This is 4 of Mighty Bolt Dragoon. Now this guy does not share an Eradicator name, but super useful still, and consistency is key. Like I said, we definitely need the right grade 3 rides, depending on what the game kind of calls for. So as such, we are running him at a 4 of. This is the grade 3 searcher for Narukami. This is the generic one. It's conditioned to get the extra 5,000. Also is just 1 card bound this turn, and it could be anybody's card too. It could be your card, your opponent's card, whatever it may be. I think it's super useful. It's really nice that it's been reprinted. It's super cheap now. I think it's like $1, $2, something like that. So yeah, we are still running him at a 4 of. And then to close it out, we are running 4 of these guys. The best, super, super nice card in Narukami. I don't know if it's the best, but it's been consistent. It's been around for a long time. I really love this guy. This is Rising Phoenix. So This skill is basically that in the drop zone, when our opponent's card is bound during our turn, we get to call this guy out, and he gets an additional 3,000 until the end of turn. So there's a lot of cards in here that have a discard cost. This is the main guy that we want to discard, because once we discard it, we're essentially binding something on their field, and we can pop him right back out. So we're not hard minusing the way that we might have been otherwise. So honestly, super nice card. I'm pretty much, I think, always going to play him in an Eradicator deck if Gauntlet Buster's still around, because you discard a lot from your hand for that. So yeah. Alright, and then moving on to the triggers. So I'm running something pretty conventional, I think, for Eradicators in general. I'm running 4 heal, I am running 7 draw, and I am running 5 crit. So I feel like we do need a good mix of draw and crit. I'm running the draw sentinels here. If we are trying to control the game, kind of sit on our Gauntlet Buster Dragon, I feel like we need to pressure with these crits. Like if you have your opponent at 2 and you're basically sitting there trying to swing with 3 crits, you know, twice per turn with Descendant, whatever it may be, you're basically saying to your opponent, if, you know, you don't let me hit and at least try for this crit, extra critical, like you're not going to get any other counterblast for the rest of the game. And I know there are decks like MLB that get around that. I think a lot of decks in the meta definitely need counterblasts, and if you counter starve them and really go for this slow grindy kind of play style that the extra draws and some of the extra crits allow you to get, I think it's honestly, you have a shot. So you really need to just take your mindset and kind of adapt it to what's going on right now in the meta. And if you do that with this kind of trigger lineup, I think, you know, you could be fine. So I've had definitely success against some meta decks with this deck. Again, play tested against a bunch of our group. We have a really good Gold Paladin player on our team. So yeah, let me get into just like one quick off topic. I'm gonna just look at a budget card that kind of takes this deck from, you know, being whatever the price may be to way less. I feel like every card in here except for Gauntlet Buster Dragon is pretty expensive. So with that being said, if you wanted to take that out and maybe the draw triggers, you can run 4 of this guy. This is Eradicator Thunderous Beat Dragon. This guy is not bad at all, honestly. Like, this is a really cool option for just budget players. On Van or Rearguard Circle during our turn, if any player's card was bound this turn, this unit gets an additional 10,000. So nice little power buff right there, helps us hit good numbers. And its second skill on Vanguard Circle is when it attacks, we can counterblast 1, and this unit gets an additional crit until end of turn. So kind of like a junior Gauntlet Buster, honestly. Like if you don't want to pay, I think it's ridiculous, something like $20 for Gauntlet Buster right now per card, if not more. If you don't want to pay that, honestly, try the deck with this guy. You know, maybe proxy Gauntlet Buster, see if you really want to make that investment. But if not, if you want to keep it budget, I think that like every other card in this deck really is budget. If the grade 3 Searcher, I mean, that guy is like $2 now, so I think it's a good investment for the clan in general. It's worth putting your money. The Phoenixes might be like $2-3 somewhere around there, but again, really good card for the clan. I feel like it's not breaking the bank necessarily, just a good investment for the clan. If you want to drop out the draw triggers, I would still run kind of the same ratio of draw and crits. I would just buy the crit sentinels. Those are a lot cheaper than the draw triggers, I believe, the draw sentinels. So you could honestly make this whole deck for, I want to say, under like $60 pretty easily otherwise. So yeah. Cool, let's just get into a test hand really quick. I know this is difficult because this deck is a little bit more controlled, so it depends on the situation that you're in, but I just want to show you guys how consistent this really is, where you could take this deck. I probably will go just max aggro instead of just sitting there on Gauntlet Buster showing you guys how to hold out as long as you can, but yeah, let's hop right into that. Alright, so if you just skip to this part of the video, I just wanted to quickly mention that this is kind of like a difficult deck to do a test hand for, just because it's not really a combo deck. There's no specific order of attack, so I think I'm just going to try to kind of aggro with this deck to show you like what it can do offensively. Yeah, let's hop right in. I think this deck is just super consistent. That's its main allure, along with being able to kind of just control the damage that your opponent takes. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Let's see what we got. We got a grade 3 Searcher, we got a Gauntlet Buster, got a good grade 2. Alright, I like this hand. Let's just put back the draw trigger here and let us draw again. Alright, nice little lineup. I actually like this hand. Let's do it. Shuffle this back up. Little Naoki sleeves. I love Naoki. Thought he was such a cool character. I know the anime is just one big commercial, but gotta take it for what it is. Alright. let us stand and draw. As in all of our playtesting videos, I am going to just assume that we go first, and we do get the combo off right off the bat. Wow, that's super lucky. I'm just gonna ride this guy. I'm gonna draw for the ride, and then I'm going to look at top 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's see, do I get a grade 3? I do get a Gauntlet Buster. I'm just gonna put that in my hand. Maybe actually drop the Gauntlet Buster too, just because might not need to go into it twice, but let's see. What else do I have again? Let us, yeah, I'm gonna drop him. Yeah, I'm gonna drop him, just less shield value. Alright. Deck thinning is deck winning. Over to our opponent, let's assume we take a damage. Boom, draw a trigger, nice. Alright, drawing her. Alright, my turn. I'm going to stand and draw. I'm going to then ride him. And again, he gets that +5 when he is ridden on Vanguard Circle, I'm sorry, when he rides onto Vanguard. But super nice to get that because they can't just drop a quick shield or like a 5k shield to make it a 1 to pass, so very, very nice there. Unless it's actually Force, right? Yeah, unless it's Force, but they're not at that point right now. I'm going to then look at the top 5 of my deck and reveal 1 Eradicator. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Again, doesn't have to be a grade 3, it can just reveal 1 Eradicator. What do I want to do? I'm gonna add the Gauntlet Buster. Do the same thing maybe. Do I want to just thin that out a little bit more? Let's get this deck thin and full of triggers. Alright, what do I want to ditch? I'm gonna ditch the Phoenix actually here because, yeah, I'm gonna do that. Keep 2 of them, yeah, not too bad, not too bad. Let's see, can we do anything else here? Let's apply some on-hit pressure. I don't want to spam her yet because I don't really have something I want to drop out of my hand necessarily. So let us swing with him. When its attack hits, we get to Soul Blast 1 and draw a card. I'm going to assume that they guard this guy. We're going to swing with him. They take this one. Let's see. Boom, a heal trigger. Let's heal out. Yeah, because they guarded that first one. And then we get to Soul Blast 1 and then draw. If you did ride Phoenix, you always want to Soul Blast out that Phoenix, which is really nice. There we go. Alright, and draw. Alright, over to our opponent then. Let's assume they're on grade 2. We take 2 damage. 1, and draw. 2. And draw. Wow, look at that. Jeez. So you guys can see this pretty fat hand going into grade 3 turn. We have good key pieces. Consistency of this deck definitely is there. The draw triggers definitely help with that. So let's see, who do I want to ride into first? I could go a double descendant if I want to, but no. I'm going to go Gauntlet Buster first and tell them, hey, you want to take 3 damage to the face or not? Boom. I'm going to pop up in my little custom, what is that, Excel 2. Did I draw for turn? That's the first one, I popped, second one, I think, I forget, whatever it is. I'm sorry if I didn't. Excel 2 though, I'm going to draw off of that. Let's see, what do I want to do now? Oh yeah, I will link the video in the description for the custom markers if you guys want to see that. What do I want to do? Let's see if we can get some good rear guards here. So I'm going to call down this guy first behind my Vanguard. I always like this guy behind my Vanguard just because it helps us hit really nice power columns pretty easily. Let's see, we don't get a grade 3 off of that, no biggie. Let us then check with her. Are we gonna get anything off of her? Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Do get an Eradicator, and we could add any Eradicator. I have 2 of these in my hand, don't really need them. I'm gonna get V-10 to my hand then. And you can kind of see why I held off using Gauntlet Buster's skill here, just because on the off chance that we do get his V-10, we want to power them up and our Gauntlet Buster as much as we possibly can. So if we wait to do that second skill, what do we want to drop from hand though? Let's drop a second one of him. Yeah, if you wait to do his thing, if you got a V-10, then you, like I said, you just power up a little bit more. Let's assume. Yeah, let's drop this from hand. Actually, I'm gonna put him here. Yeah, let's drop this from hand. Let's call Cho-Oh out right here. And let us go to town now. So I'm gonna use his skill, Counterblast 1, discard a card from my hand. Let's discard another Gauntlet Buster. I am going to then bind their front row. All the circles are open. Our Rising Phoenix comes back out. Let's assume we bound just one guy, so he gets an extra +5 there. This becomes 22, 22 into 27, right? Yeah, 27. 27 plus that 13 is, what is that, 41, right? Or no, 40? 27, yeah, 1340, sorry. So yeah, this is a 40k column, which is pretty insane. Let's swing with Cho first. Swing with our Vanguard. 1 and 2. It's up to you guys really where you want to take it from here. If you want to, like I said, just sit on your Vanguard swing, not really give him any other counterblasts. It's completely up to you. I'm just gonna aggro this out, pretend like, you know, we're going for broke here. Swing this skill into soul, draw. Swing. Let's assume we hit for this guy. Soul Blast 1. Again, Sweet Dan helps with that. Soul Blast 1 and draw. And now it's over to our opponent. I just want to go one more turn just to show you something with this. Let's assume we take a bunch of damage. 1, 2, and 3. Alright, and then we gotta guard some stuff out then. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3 is guarded. Let's say we go her 2. And yeah, we'll even say him. Alright. Now our turn. Stand and draw. Alright, now I'm going to ride him. He gets all the skills, get another Excel 2. There we are. Draw off Excel 2. What do I want to do? Get Soul Blast 1, pretend they have a unit. Yeah, let's do that. Alright, drag a unit up. I'm going to use this other skill. For Gauntlet Buster, Counterblast 1, drag all of their units up, discard a card from my hand, bound their units, and this guy comes bound from my hand onto, no, I'll put him here actually, he gets that additional +3. Let's call him down, and let's make a really aggressive turn here. So the first thing I'm going to do is then swing, actually I'm not going to swing with Cho first because he does restand, so you can swing with him once, swing with him, then swing with him again in order to restand Cho. So let's swing. This is going to be then, let's assume like 22, whatever. 1, let's give him the power and draw. 2, jeez, wow. Let's give one of, let's give Cho another, let's give himself the power actually, because we are going to restand him, and then we are going to draw off of that. Alright, draw is definitely helping keep our hand size alive, and we discard a lot in this deck, so it definitely is helpful. We are going to Counterblast 1, discard a card from our hand. What do we have to discard? Let's see, let's discard the Phoenix. Alright, we're going to restand our Vanguard, -1 drive. This was 22, 32, 32 plus that guy right there is 45. Alright, I'm going to drive check once, no trigger, it's alright. And, oh, I forgot to do the whole Cho thing, but maybe you can basically get another 2 attacks out of hand, swing, swing, swing. And basically, yeah, that's how the deck operates. That's kind of the MO that you want. Ride Gauntlet Buster first, go into here, get that super aggressive two-shot kind of swing off with him. Very, very effective against a lot of different decks, especially if you're going against the Excel matchup. I mean, if they're generating a lot of Excel markers, you're plussing a lot off of Gauntlet Buster. You're getting that extra attack. I think that is very threatening, definitely a decent ability overall. I think the new support from the deck just kind of upped the consistency and some of the power that it does have. So yeah, I hope you guys did enjoy this video. If you did learn anything, like I said before, please consider liking the video and maybe subscribing to the channel. We have a lot of other content coming up. I'm going to really try to grind out a lot of January. Have like a budget Blau coming out, budget like No Sale. Have a Gabrielle deck coming out. Also, the Vanquisher counterpart is also coming out as well. I know a lot of people are either Eradicator or Vanquisher, but again, Narukami is my favorite. I'll play absolutely anything Narukami. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. This is Alex from Team Generations, signing out.